If you're suffering from bloating, diarrhea, and gut pain, then you're going to need to watch this video. I'm going to go over every gut disease and how they get diagnosed so you know the proper treatment plan to take to fix your symptoms. I used to suffer from bad Crohn's and colitis, and I fixed it 100% naturally. It's hard to diagnose gut disease through symptoms because both the colon and the small intestine can a lot of the times produce the same symptoms. Now, colitis is inflammation of the colon. The first part of the word means colon, and the second part of the word itis means inflammation. Now, if the whole colon is inflamed, they'll call it pancolitis. If they see ulcers and bleeding, they call it ulcerative colitis. If they see pockets, then they call it diverticulitis. Sometimes they'll even call it sigmoiditis if just the sigmoid colon is inflamed. If the proctal region is inflamed, they call it proctitis. They can do a scope right here, and they can look for perianal fistulas, hemorrhoids, and fissures. But to confirm colitis, they do a colonoscopy. They stick a camera up here, and they look around. And now sometimes this camera can get up into about here, but a lot of times it stops around here. And people get diagnosed with Crohn's disease when they find inflammation here in the last part of the small intestine, right here. Now, the original term used for Crohn's disease was regional ileitis. Today, that term means inflammation anywhere from mouth to butthole, but they really don't use it that way. People get diagnosed with Crohn's disease when they do an MRI, and they find, because it's hard to see this part of the body, and they find inflammation here. Now, while they're doing a colonoscopy, they might also be taking tissue samples to see if somebody has an infection like C. diff or E. coli or Candida, and to see how inflamed the tissue is under a microscope. Now, somebody can get diagnosed with Candida through a stool test. There's a new term called SIBO, and that stands for small intestinal bacteria overgrowth. And they do that through a breath test. And somebody will get diagnosed with IBS when they do all these tests and the person's having symptoms, but they're not finding inflammation anywhere in the small or large intestine. Now, they can also do an endoscopy and look for stomach ulcers or duodenal ulcers. Most ulcers are right about here or up here, but most of them are here. No, they're never found down here. But they do an endoscopy, and they take tissue samples, and they look around with a camera to diagnose stomach ulcers, or they take a culture sample to diagnose H. pylori. Doctors do not diagnose leaky gut. Leaky gut is a made-up bad term by the holistic community that, there's holes in our gut, and they're leaking toxins into our bloodstream and causing a rash on our right arm, but not on the left. If toxins were to truly be leaking into our bloodstream, we would have rashes everywhere, and there would be all sorts of random chaos. But you'll notice that these symptoms, like a rash, they're always in the same location every single time. So that theory just doesn't hold up.